everybody making the trek to Tallahassee. So, first of all, I'm Anthony Sabatini. I'm a state representative here in Florida, District 32. I represent Lake County in Central Florida. And once again, thank you guys for coming up. There's a few people I want to introduce. One of our directors for one of our true Second Amendment protective organizations, Second Amendment, actually fighting for the Second Amendment rights of Floridians, not just standing around and talking about it, but actually fighting for it. And that's the director for Florida for the Gunowners of America, Luiz Valdez. This is him right here. And we got another very special guest, the vice president of GOA, the preeminent gun rights organization in the United States. Mr. Erich Pratt is here too. And these guys are engaged in the fight. So with this rally here today is to announce a very special event. That special event is the filing of constitutional carry here in Florida. Now, I don't think anybody here needs an introduction to what constitutional carry is, but I'll give you just a skinny on it real quick. It's basically the combination of two essential laws concerning gun rights. One is permitless carry. You should not have to ask the government for permission and pay it money to exercise your First Amendment rights. The Second Amendment should be no different. You shouldn't have to beg and plead to pay money to the government and to make you free for your Second Amendment rights. So we got to get rid of this unconstitutional, ridiculous permitting program here in the state of Florida. And the other important bill is open carry. You shouldn't have, if you're a law-abiding citizen and you're carrying a firearm, why should you be sentenced to prison, state prison, if somebody could see or witness you carrying a firearm for your own self-defense? It's disgusting, it's unconstitutional, and this Republican leadership needs to get off the rear end and get rid of this unconstitutional law and Florida statutes immediately. They need to get rid of it right now.
Yeah!
Right. That's what constitutional carry is. It's those two things plus those two essential bills combined with a few others. You shouldn't have to be a day over 18 to defend yourself. You should be 18 years old to carry in the state of Florida and to possess a firearm, to purchase a firearm. And we need to get rid of these red flag laws. That's going to be put in a separate bill that will be filed in a couple weeks here. And then also, we got to make sure we have 100% reciprocity. You know, if you're an American citizen, your Second Amendment rights should be recognized and protected here in the state of Florida. You shouldn't be treated like a second-class citizen just because you inhabit another state. So that's constitutional carry. We're going to file it. And let me tell you something. So 2 years ago when I got elected, well 3 years ago now, I got elected to the state house. I ran on an explicit platform of getting rid of an unconstitutional law in Florida statutes, what they call the Parkland Gun Control Law. One of the most perverted and disturbing laws passed in the history of the great state of Florida. Since 1845, we've always believed in the Second Amendment. And for the first time in a very long time, a lot of the Republican leaders in this building right here decided to stab gun owners in the back and stab every American citizen in the back by passing a bill that says any cop, any judge, anybody can just on a whim decide that you're a criminal threat and take away your Second Amendment rights. They can pass they can issue a judicial warrant to come steal your firearms even though you've never even been accused of a crime. It's sick, it's perverted, it's anti-constitutional, it's literally the opposite of due process, and it must go away. So I ran on doing that. And every year I've been in this house, we've co-sponsored bills to get rid of that. Now the second year, and of course the Republican establishment have killed those bills. The anti-Second Amendment leadership of the Republican establishment here in the state of Florida have killed that bill in the House and the Senate. The second year I was here, somebody from another gun rights organization said to me, you know, nobody's ever filed constitutional carry in the history of the state of Florida. I was shocked to learn that. The first time the bill had ever been filed was just 2 years ago in the state of Florida. So I was blown away. And that was me. I was the first one to file it. I decided to file it. And they killed it. So folks, people are waking up. It's no longer good enough for these Republicans to sit around and talk about the Second Amendment, but literally do nothing. It's time that we actually start fighting and expanding our robust Bill of Rights in the United States, and the Second Amendment being, in my opinion, one of the most, if not the single most, guaranteed right in the Bill of Rights. We need Republicans who are actually going to do what they say and not just use rhetoric. They all do the same mailers, the same TV ads, the same rhetoric, the same ads say, oh, we're here to protect your Second Amendment rights. We believe in your civil liberties. We're here to protect you. Folks, it's a lie. And it's time we start getting involved in some of these primary elections and giving Floridians an alternative to the Republicans that say one thing and do another. And it's been going on for far too long. So this year, I'm here, like I said, proud to announce that in the next 2 weeks, I'll be filing constitutional carry here in the state of Florida for the 3rd straight year. But this is the year that everybody must be held accountable for where they are in this bill. The Republican leadership needs to quit playing its games and making the bill sit in committee and not let it move. And the cowardly Republicans that are afraid and spineless and afraid to co-sponsor this important piece of legislation need to be called out. The GOA and other gun groups in the state, some of which we are here today, are going to be part of the effort to fight. And we need every citizen who's here and on social media and across the country and across the state, but more importantly across the country, to coalesce in this fight. It took 13 years for constitutional carry to pass the great state of Texas. Texas acted like it had this great reputation for the Second Amendment, but the rhinos like Greg Abbott sat on their rear end for 13 years and did nothing to help that piece of legislation move. It was finally this year that it finally happened. I pray it doesn't take 13 years for justice here in the state of Florida. This is the 3rd year we're filing constitutional carry, but we need everybody on the record. We need our great Governor Ron DeSantis to support this bill. We need the state senators, the state Senate President Wilton Simpson and the Speaker of the House, Chris Sprouse, who were the architects for the biggest eclipse of gun rights in the state of Florida, the so-called Parkland gun safety bill, which is a dangerous, unconstitutional piece of legislation. We need them to change their tune, fix this travesty by passing constitutional carry and also repealing the red flag laws here in the state of Florida. If folks like to say anything, I'm going to say a few things more after them, and then we'll do questions too. But I'm going to pass over to Mr. Erich Pratt. Thanks.
Why don't y'all pull up in the shade over here? Let's go in the shade.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're killing these guys, especially the suits.
So I want to thank all of you for coming out to support Second Amendment rights. This really blesses us to see that you guys would, take a day off work, come out here. Especially want to thank Representative Sabatini for your leadership in terms of what you're doing in pushing this. We thank God. So here's the situation that we have. Across the country, we've got 21 states that have constitutional carry. That's over 40% of the country. And by the way, in none of those states have they devolved somehow into the proverbial Wild West. That has not happened. In fact, the 5 states in our country that have the lowest murder rates, guess what they are? Constitutional carry states. This is something that works. That should not be a surprise. So as Representative Sabatini was saying, what's the problem with Republicans here in the state of Florida? There's a supermajority in the legislature. We have a Republican in the governor's mansion. Why do we know? Why the silence? Why the crickets? Enacting constitutional carry should be a no-brainer. Red states all over the country are passing permitless carry laws. And here's something to consider. Not one of those states where constitutional carry is passed, in not one of them have they even had a legislative hearing to even consider repealing the law. The laws work so well, there's been no discussion about going backwards, not a one. That should tell you something right there. Constitutional carry works. Alaska and Arizona, the first 2 states in the modern era to pass constitutional carry. Vermont has had it since the beginning of the Union. But with Arizona and Alaska, after they passed their laws, their murder rates dropped, each of them 30% in the first 5 years. Why would any state reconsider their law and want to repeal it? None have so far. Passing constitutional carry is going to encourage more good people to carry for protection, and that means more armed citizens saving lives. It's interesting, Oklahoma is one of the 21 states. When they passed constitutional carry, right after it went into effect, there's a 24-year-old guy named Joey Tapley. He's shopping in a sports store. All of a sudden, had jumped over the counter, broke the glass, grabbed firearms, were loading the firearms, and then started shooting. And they took off running. permits to carry. Joey would have been one of them. Constitutional carry removes those hurdles and enables